I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all of the difference. Good evening out there in podcast land, ladies and gentlemen. I am your humble host, Mr. Dennis Carroll, and this is another edition of The Road Less Traveled. Are you ready to take a strange trip down the road less traveled tonight? We're going to be talking about cannibalism. That's right. This is a real subject you may really get your teeth into here, okay? And that's a pun intended. And somebody here to help me do that is my co-host, Mr. Gerald Fountain.
Hey,
Good evening, sir.
good evening.
We ready to tackle the cannibals?
Oh, I think so.
All right, we got some interesting program ahead of you, folks. Want to say hello to Lanita, and Lanita, I will be showing your photograph Wednesday night on Hunting the Shadows. Okay, so tune in for that definitely. Hello, Crystal. Good to have you here. All right, thank you, Crystal, for that, and hello, Monica, the girl in her gong. Hello, and Mr. Kyle Smith, and somebody named Midwest Night Watchers. Does that sound familiar to you, Gerald?
Yeah, I think he's some creepy old dude, probably.
Yeah, it sounds familiar, definitely. I think they come in every once in a while.
Might be a stalker.
Yeah. And let's see who else we got checking in here. All right. It's a little bit slow tonight. It's kind of like me. It's a little slow. Manisha and the Maria. Okay. Got Miss Ann Allred in here. Hello, Ann. So we're getting a full house in here.
All right.
All right, that's good. So I hear you're very successful with the creature features thing, huh?
Yeah, we had a good crowd Friday and Saturday. Saturday was the best night we've ever had so far doing our shows on Rumble. And
We'll have to put that link up here in a little bit and let everybody see that link. You might want to go check it out. Watch some good old movies there. Absolutely. Did you happen to get a chance to see that video I sent you about Lady Gaga?
yes, I did.
Is that wild or what? Huh?
Yeah.
They're not even bothering trying to hide this stuff anymore, huh?
Nope. Right out in front of us.
Yep, they're pushing it on out there, all right.
But most people don't care or don't even look.
I will explain that video to everyone later on in the show, but it is a very disturbing one. It was on a skit that they did on Saturday Night Live, where they actually are raising demons, supposedly. Lady Gaga is doing it. It's supposed to be done as a comedy kit, but it doesn't look like a skit to me. It's more or less, I don't know. It wasn't funny. They tried to make it funny, and they were, trying to put the laugh track in there, I think, or something. But it kind of fell very flat. I'll talk some more about it later on, but it's very interesting. And anybody wants a copy of it, I can send it to you on Messenger if you want to look at it. But I think they will be doing a little bit something about it on Supernatural Truth tonight. After I think their show is on after our show here. They will be doing a little bit on Supernatural Truth. So you might want to tune into that and watch it. And I think Red Pill Preacher will be on that as well. So you might want to check it out. But it is rather disturbing, absolutely. And I'm going to tell you something about Lady Gaga. I'm not a big fan of hers. I'm not a big fan of a lot of these so-called celebrities. But she is one among some of the weirdest ones, definitely. Absolutely. Thank you, girl in the gong. That is the link for the Rumble thing on Midwest Night Watchers for the creature features.
Yeah, all our shows are on Rumble now live, whether it's our Sunday Piercing the Veil or Wednesday the Night Owl Lounge. Then our movie night is only on Rumble. So if you want to watch the old sitcoms and movies and stuff like that, it's only on Rumble.
Yeah, I always like the old stuff. It's the best. Absolutely. But we'll try to put that up again at the end. When more people come in, and we'll put it up again. But we need, anybody showing stuff something decent like that needs to be supported, whoever they may be, And we need more of that stuff, and we need more support for people that do these things, and that would counterbalance some of this other trash out there.
Right.
Yeah, excellent movies. I remember when I was a kid, Gerald. My favorite, I told you about this before. My favorite was Shock Theater. It came on every Saturday afternoon. I think about like 1 or 2 in the afternoon, and it had all the old Universal monster movies, and that was great, back in those. And then there was one that came on Saturday night, and it had sort of the more of the offbeat movies. It didn't just buy the Universal package. You know what I'm saying? It was a little bit different,
Right.
but it was called the Inferno, and it would creep you out because the way it would come on, it would be these flames, and then this floating face came on, and it looked like warmed over death. It looked bad, and this is what he would say. He said, "Good evening, welcome. I bid you welcome to the Inferno. Come on in for the meeting place of the supernatural and the unknown." That's the way
wow.
That was great. They would show all these. One of my favorite movies they showed. I don't know if you got this, you might want to show it sometime, Gerald. It, the Terror from Beyond Space. Well, that was a good one. And this is the movie that inspired Alien, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah. It, the Terror from Beyond Space. And basically, the whole movie is them trying to get away from this monster on a spaceship.
Okay.
The monster on a spaceship with them. And boy, you don't mind. Good, man. This is a good movie. But enough about the movies. Let's talk about some real life stuff. Let's talk cannibals here.
Oh.
Cannibalism has a very distinct history that goes way, way back. I mean, it's as old as mankind itself. Cannibalism, though, is universally seen as a taboo thing. You just don't do it. The indigenous peoples of North and South America look down upon cannibalism, although some cannibalism took place in both areas, by the way. And that was, the talk about the Wendigo. It was a symbolism of cannibalism. Something you just did not do. And it was something that, went against the Great Spirit. It went against everything that they felt was right and just in the world. And it is true. There are certain precepts when it comes to things like that. And I'm an American, okay? You don't eat your dog, you don't eat your cat, you don't eat your horse, and you certainly don't eat your neighbor, okay? That's the way that goes. And but some people don't see things that way. And with what we're going to talk about tonight, there are certain cultures in the world that to this day, although it's slowly dying out a lot from what it used to be years ago, but certain cultures have a religious tie into this thing. And I'm going to be telling a little bit about a movie I saw last night that got me interested in doing this show tonight on cannibalism. And the movie is called We Are What We Are. And I'll tell a little bit more about it later on, but it got me interested in cannibalism thing. And I said, well, I'm going to do some little bit. I know a good bit about it already, but I want to do a little more deeper research. And here's what say something about that before we get in further into this subject. You need to refresh your research every now and then, no matter what. It's very important that you do that because new facts are always being found, new opinions are coming forward, new evidence, whatever the situation. we should always be continually refreshing our research. No matter how many times we've read it or talked about it or done shows about it, we still need to refresh that research all the time. It's very
Yeah.
important that we do that. We don't want to get stale on knowledge. Absolutely.
Right.
But so I did a little refresh on my research on it and found a few more fascinating things. Some things that the movie actually got me interested in doing too. But did you know, and we'll talk about this for a minute, there is a disease you can get from eating people.
Wow. No.
And it's called a prion disease. And the prion disease can work two or three different ways. It can give you sort of like the shakes, and it can affect your mind. It can also affect your body health wise. It is not healthy for you to eat people. Okay. And they have found this disease prevalent in a lot of cannibals. But like I said earlier, it's dying out. Cannibalism is being frowned upon more and more and more. And it's leaving out a lot of these cultures, like in Borneo and places like that. Some areas, some tribes in South America still practice it. And like I said, the indigenous tribes in North America, for not all of them now, I'm just saying very rare occasions indulged in this. Okay. But it's still there, and maybe even the Mayans and Incas, they have actually found, bones that look gnawed on, okay, by human teeth. That's a sure sign of cannibalism, definitely.
Oh
And don't
yeah.
forget about the very famous Donner Party. Remember that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I got that on my list.
Yeah, that's interesting too. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Anyway, this disease is called prion disease, and here's what you can get especially if you eat the brain of someone. You can get what's called curry disease. And curry disease is just like a human equivalent of mad cow disease.
Oh.
So eating someone can turn you into a zombie. Think about that. Eating brains can actually turn you into a zombie.
Oh my.
You hear about that in the zombie movies. They eat brains,
Right.
That's why they're zombies, okay? They're eating brains. Don't do that. It's not nice. But this is a real medical disease that you can get. And it can do a lot of different things to your body. It can give you, like I said, it can give you the shakes. It can start working over your whole body, actually. I mean, it doesn't leave out one part of your body. This is not good stuff. And maybe another reason why, and I'm not talking about rogue animals here, Gerald, like tigers and stuff. Once in a while, they will get on and become man eaters. But most of the time, animals will not eat you, per se, unless they're very hungry, something else is going on, they're very angry, or whatever the situation is. They get real wild. They will, gnaw on you a little bit, but they don't sit there and eat all of you, okay, like a cannibal would. You know what I'm saying? Animals don't do that as a rule, but that rules can be broken, okay? I mean, there are certain circumstances where that can happen. But, we have all heard the horror stories of people dying, just like that, the recent actor, Gene Hackman, dying and being left alone in a house with hungry dogs.
Yep.
For a good many days. As a matter of fact, I had a neighbor that died like that. And I don't think the dogs ever really touched her, but there have been horror stories of the people's dogs eating them. But
Yep.
as a rule, dogs don't usually do stuff like that unless, circumstances prevail. But animals, as a rule, don't, but be my problem would be that when I ran into that man eating lion, he would say bless him before he devoured me, okay? But anyway, that would be bad. Think about, But when it comes to cannibalism, like I said, most cultures look down upon that. It's something you just don't do,
Yep.
But there are certain religions in this world. And some of these cannibals, and when I was reading about one tribe, I think it was the tribe in Borneo, I think. And they were, I think, among the last of the cannibals. They still, to a certain extent, may not actually practice cannibalism, but they still consent to it. In other words, privately, put it that way. Nobody knows about it. The authorities don't know about it. You know what I'm saying? But they look upon this as a religious thing, and here's what they will do. This is weird. I want you to think about this. They will capture somebody and hold them, prisoner, and then sing to them about how they're going to eat them.
Oh.
And sometimes the people that are the victims sing back about how I hope I make you sick. I mean, this is real, folks. I'm not making this up. This is a real documented thing going on. Yeah, you sing. Crystal says she's singing "Brain in a Jar" sounds. That was my brain. I lost it some time back. Okay, if you signed it again, let me know. Anyway, that was in my lab, Frankenstein lab. Okay, anyway, I mean, this is weird, real religions type stuff going on here, and that kind of blew my mind. It's not only that you're singing to the victim is singing back to you, wishing you ill luck on that. Definitely. I guess I would do the same thing. If you eat me, I hope it makes you sick.
Yep.
Anyway, this is a weird, very weird subject. But have you done any research on this as well, Gerald?
Well, I'm just like everybody else. I've heard stories and I've seen stuff pop up. I mean, there's been cases here recently where they suspect cannibalism. It's been a couple of things in the news. A couple of girls missing, and they're suspecting foul play, obviously, where they were kidnapped. And now there's talk about cannibalism. So I don't want to go too deep into that since it's current. But I mean, we've had this stuff going on for centuries. I mean, you brought it up, the Donner Party, and it goes way back before that, even cannibalism.
Yeah, the Donner Party, actually, and I went back and looked at some history on that, and I always thought, they talked about the cannibalism, but not true. The newspapers didn't talk that much about the cannibalism, probably because of this sensationalism, But they talked more about the Donner Party treasure. They were supposed to have buried a treasure around there or something, which is not true. They didn't have any money. But they talked more about the treasure than they did the cannibalism. That's weird, huh? But that's right. The way the newspapers used to do, I guess. But they considered that, I guess, to be such a terrible subject, they didn't want to talk about it that much. Well, these people had to do what they had to do, to survive. And I think if I'm not mistaken, there's a series out right now called Yellow Jackets. Have you heard about that?
No, I don't know that one.
It's called Yellow Jackets, and it's about these two teams of soccer player girls, and their plane crashes in the mountains or somewhere way out in the desolate area, and they have to begin to survive out there, and they become primitive people, and they try to survive this plane crash. And I think there's some cannibalism going on with that as well. But I think that same thing, and what inspired this TV series, there was an incident of a plane crashing in South America. You remember that? It was a plane that crashed, and the woman, I think, eventually had to eat parts of somebody on this mountain to stay alive till the rescuers could find her. And I think she walked through the jungle a long ways to get help or something like that. I remember that happening. And
in the 70s.
There again, though, Gerald, they didn't want to talk about the cannibalism much because it offends everybody so much. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, in the 70s, that the book and the movie Alive was about the soccer team that crashed in the Andes, and they ate their teammates that had passed away to stay alive.
Yeah, that might have been it. Same one I'm thinking about. Yeah, and that's inspired this thing called Yellow Jackets. And why they call themselves Yellow Jackets? I never have watched it. I just happened to see an advertisement for it. And yes, there is a cannibalism club supposedly in L.A. Girl or Gone, the Cannibal Club, and they supposedly eat people. Well, and I've talked about this before. One of the biggest precepts of satanic worship and vampire cults and all these other things is not only the spilling and taking blood, but also consuming human flesh, because it's something you just don't do. It's sort of, here's the way people looked upon this thing, Gerald. It was not only a bad thing to do to other people, but it was sort of like thumbing your nose at God too, saying,
Right.
"I'll just do whatever I want to do," kind of a thing. And so, of course, the satanic and vampire cults would be up for something definitely like that.
Yep. Cannibalism isn't illegal in the U.S. except for the state of Idaho has a law specifically against cannibalism. No other state has a law against cannibalism.
You hear that, folks? You're back on the menu. Yeah. Well, probably because it was so looked down upon that they said we don't really need a law. Nobody's going to do it, kind of a thing,
Right.
But there you go. That's sort of a shortfall, definitely, isn't it? Allegedly, people donate their bodies to be eaten. Okay. But like I said earlier, you're playing with some bad diseases here. Okay.
Right.
No matter how much you prepare the body or what you do to boil it, cook it, fry it, or whatever you're doing, you're still going to be a chance of getting this disease. As you see, most of the time, I'll show you a quick picture here. Most of the time, cannibalism went this route, sort of this way. This is an old woodcut showing them how they cutting up people and getting them ready to be roasted over a fire. But then here, and that's a very old etching. And here's another one actually showing them putting them in a pot. They would boil, kind of like boiled chicken.
Right.
And which brings back a childhood memory of mine, Gerald. I had this neighbor that actually it was my grandmother's neighbor, and this old lady would boil chicken all the time. I guess for dinner or whatever it was. She might not have good teeth or something. I don't know what the deal was. But I could never stand to go in her house. It smelled terrible to me. And boiled chicken, I was like, give me fried chicken, okay?
Right.
That boiled chicken don't cut it for me. But that would be a perfect way to prepare meat when you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, I have a friend that worked with me for a lot of years at the automobile plant, and he was Vietnamese, and he boiled his meat all the time. So when he brought something up and heated it in a microwave, it smelled horrible to me anyway, but it looked like gray flesh. No matter what he brought in, whether it was fish, chicken, whatever, since he boiled it, it looked like gray flesh.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it wasn't human.
Boiled potatoes. That comes down to that. And maybe boiled eggs, yeah. But that's about it for me. Oh, about corn. Yeah, you got to boil corn.
Right.
Too.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what human flesh or boiled flesh would look like, but whatever he was eating, that's what I imagine it looked like.
It could be about some of those people they talked about here a while back about cooking their dogs and cats. Some people in the world do that. I mean, they don't think twice about eating a dog or a cat. That's just or a bat or whatever, or an octopus. Something you and I probably wouldn't want.
Right.
They don't think twice about it because that's the culture they come up in.
Right.
It's accepted.
I mean, other than dogs and cats, I mean, you travel the world, or even in the U.S., different parts of the U.S., they have different cultures within the U.S. that we might not think here in Illinois or wherever is with something we would do, but they do it down there in the South or wherever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I tell you. It's a regional thing sometimes, but like I said earlier, it's connected to religious attributes. That brings me back to that movie I was telling you about. I'll tell you a quick synopsis of this movie. I advise everybody to watch this because it is if you can stand it, it is a very interesting movie because it could be very, very real. Okay, This is not a made up thing, okay? But it's called We Are What We Are, and it's about a family of rural people. They live on a farm. They got cows, they got chickens, they got trucks. They got, I mean, they're normal, modern day farmers, except they eat people.
Yeah.
And this is tied to their weird religion that they have. Good evening, cryptid hunters. Good to have you here, dear. It's this religion that they have. They believe that people are given to them as a food source by God. So they cull the herd, you might say, of people that fall into their neighborhood. And a lot of people go missing around it. That's all I'm going to tell you about this movie. You need to watch it. They appear to be normal people, except for this. We are what we are. That's the name of it. Check it out. I think it's on Prime. Check it out. You will find it a very interesting movie. It's a little gory, but not too bad. But it's the subject matter that is where it gets its horror from, okay? But it's great. And by the way, it's got Kurt Russell's son in it. He plays a deputy sheriff, and he looks and sounds just like his dad, by the way. Check it out. We are what we are. I don't want to be with them, no matter what. I'm not eating dinner with them, okay? No matter how much they invite me. But the father in the family is a very religious fanatic to a certain extent, and this shows you the dark side of religion and how it can be used for bad purposes and nefarious purposes. So that's the interesting thing. This could be very real. This could be your neighbors, folks. Okay, this could be happening right now. These are not feral people. These are people who are not wild or anything. I mean, they look normal. They function normal, except they just like to eat their neighbors.
Right. Mm-hmm. You remember the movie Green Fried Tomatoes when they chopped that guy up and fed it to the law enforcement people?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. All this goes back to Lycanus. You know who Lycanus was? Lycanus was a king in ancient Greece. And he is where you get the word lycanthropy at. Lycanthropy. I can't speak tonight. He fooled the gods into eating his sons. You remember that? He killed and took his sons and gave it to Zeus to eat. The gods were eating at his house or something. I don't know. Maybe they were hanging out with him. I don't know what was the big deal. Anyway, they got mad and said, "What are you doing, Neil? This was a terrible thing to do. You're feeding us human flesh here." So Zeus turned him into a wolf. He was the first original werewolf. Okay, folks? Read about his story. It's called I think his name was Lycans. But it's where you get lycanthropy at. That's where the word means to turn into a wolf. Wow. Very ancient Greek legend. You don't feed the gods people. Okay. Don't do that. Bad idea.
Yeah. Well, we have a festival right there by Starved Rock in a little small town. It's called the Burgoo Festival. And it's a big pot, great big huge pot that they boil and put all kinds of vegetables and stuff in it. But the meat is supposedly originally it started as roadkill, whatever you would find, dead or whatever, they would carve it up and put it in a stew. So that's how Burgoo stew started in our area anyway.
Mm-hmm. Don't think we want to eat that either, right?
So when you get out in the backwoods or even down south, when people have these big kettles out there where stews going all the time, I mean, that would be the perfect place. I would think that cannibals or people would introduce weird meat.
Well, I'll tell you the thing about the roadkill and that kind of meat was back after the days of the Civil War. People were starving to death. They would eat anything. I mean, there was, they had no choice. They had to eat things that they could kill. They had to eat the chickens and cows. They were starving to death. They were reduced to nothing, and it was either that or die. And that's where
Yep.
a lot of these traditions come from. The pre-Civil War, after the Civil War, because times were so hard on the South, and that's where a lot of this stuff is. So you didn't waste anything in the South. You know what I'm saying? You
Right.
just didn't do that because it was hard to come by.
Well, I gotta tell you, my mom and dad, they grew up on farms during the Depression, and they didn't waste anything. When they butchered a pig or a cow, they ate every inch that they could possibly eat off of that animal.
Oh yeah, you didn't waste anything. Matter of fact, I was reading, in just doing refreshing my research on cannibalism. I read about the fact that once upon a time, human fat was used for medicinal purposes. Believe it or not, it was put on sprains and stuff like that. Human fat was sold in apothecaries. Also, along with that, they would actually crush up skulls and into a powder and feed it to people who had brain fevers and stuff like that, supposedly. So
Wow.
even parts of the human body were used for medicine.
I do remember reading that certain tribes, in the Papua New Guinea or in that area, the Congo, places like that, that if you were fat or overweight, they did not want to eat you. They would eat the more fit, skinnier people or more normal looking people. That doesn't mean they wouldn't kill you, but they didn't want to eat you because of the fat content, and the meat wasn't as good as the healthy people.
Well, can you blame them? Who wants to eat a lot of fat,
Yeah.
right? You want the good tenderloins.
Yeah.
You
So
don't
it's
want
like
that.
it's like going to the fine restaurant and for cannibalism, you want the good grade.
Yep. And of course, that brings us to the most famous cannibal of all, Hannibal the Cannibal. Don't
Oh,
go to dinner when he invites you to dinner, folks. Okay.
that's right.
Yep. I like it when at the end of the movie, he Silence of the Lambs. He says, he said, "I'll see you later, and I'll have you over for dinner one day." I don't think I want to go eat with him. No, sir. You end up being the main course.
Well, hello, Clarice.
Well, you hear that, folks? You want to be the fluffy one, right? You don't want to be
That's
the
right.
skinny. You don't want the tenderloins. You want to be the fat, definitely. You might live longer that way. But this is a fascinating subject, because I find the most fascinating part is people use religion as an excuse to do this a lot. But then you also have other tribes that use human parts. That we talked about. We did a show before on those, the headhunters.
Right.
They did the shrunken heads and all that. They use certain body parts in rituals, and that includes the satanic and vampire cults as well. That is a big part of religion, and it goes back actually to the Last Supper. If you want to screw your way of looking at this, Jesus said, "Here, take this, bread. It is my body that I give for you, and drink this wine. It is my blood that I spill for you. Do this in remembrance of me." You and some Catholic people actually believe you are consuming the body of Jesus when you do the Last Supper,
Right.
although he meant it to be symbolic.
Right. Spiritual.
Yeah, it's a spiritual symbolic thing, okay? But they take it literally. And I don't know if you're familiar with the Holy Host, as it's called, but it is the wafer that they give you. It is blessed. It's supposed to be the body of Christ.
Right.
It's used in hunting vampires, by the way. The Holy Host is the host is used to seal places, or it's a blessed thing, okay?
Right.
And they use it for that, and only a priest is. Listen to this. Only a priest is supposed to be able to handle this. That's why you come up and open your mouth and let him put it in your mouth. You can't touch it unless it's going in your mouth. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Anyway, only the priest is allowed to touch the host, supposedly. So look, that is a big tie religiously to this kind of stuff. But I mean, it's it is like I say, very like you said, spiritual and it is symbolic in that respect. Jesus didn't actually mean for you to go out and eat somebody. He was telling this is the sacrifice I'm making for you. But that is a line from that movie I was telling him about. What we are, what we are. The man says, "Behold the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world. We thank you, Lord, for giving us the lambs for your sustenance, for our sustenance." Okay, that is allowing what you want to be done in very wrong ways. You're reading things completely different from what they should be. That's never a good idea, no matter what religion or whatever you belong to. That's never a good idea when you filter it the wrong way.
I got a funny story about communion. Well, I grew up in the church, the Baptist church, and we always did communion and stuff, but we always had grape juice and crackers, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Well, when my uncle passed away, they were Lutherans, and so my aunt would ask us to go to church, and I thought, you know what, I'll start going to church with Aunt Arlene and taking her to church. So we went to her Lutheran church, and we're up there. Just happened to be on a communion Sunday, and we're up there getting the blessing and taking communion, and I just suspected it to be grape juice, and I took the drink, and it was pure wine. It's like my eyes must have been as big as saucers. I couldn't believe it. It's like, this is real. It's not grape juice.
Well, some people, it's still symbolic to some people, and Jesus mainly commanded, "Do this in remembrance of me." It's just a remembrance of him. It's to bring into mind what his sacrifice was. A lot of people, use it symbolically in that way, but like the Catholic Church, it sees it not just symbolically, but physically as well in that respect. It does consider that the host to be the body of Jesus and the wine to be his blood. That's the way it sees it. Although it's still wine and it's still a wafer, okay. But they symbolize it to be that, and to them, it all for intents and purposes is. So what I'm saying, that's the thing about religions. The dogma of religions usually leave no room. Sometimes for symbolism. It takes the symbolism out and replaces it with the real thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But a lot of religion is symbolism. Saying do this, it's like he said, do this in remembrance of me. This is just, something that you do that you don't forget what I did for you. You commemorate this just like a birthday or something. You know what I'm saying? But they take it one step further and get very deep into it psychologically. But that's the thing about religion, Gerald. Like I said before, it's a man-made thing. God does not promote one religion over another because God is not religious. Now, I know that sounds weird to say that, but God is not about religion. He's not about that. He has a kingdom. Okay, yes, he has a kingdom. He has a church, but he's not religious in that respect because religion is a man-made thing, 100%.
Right.
And so that's why you have all the dogma, the rules. You got to do this, you got to do that. Jesus kind of got on to the Pharisees about that. He said, "You vipers, you snakes. You make it hard on people to enter in, and you don't even enter in yourself." So what he was saying is all these rules cloud the whole issue. You can't see the forest for the trees, kind of a thing. That's what religion is all about. The feet washing. The feet washing is another symbolism showing that you are a servant to your brother. And your brother is a servant to you. That's all that is. That's why Jesus washed your feet, saying, "I not only come, to say I came to serve, And that is a symbolism of showing that everyone is equal in the eyes of God. That's what that basically is all about. Well, love is the frequency, definitely freedom over. Absolutely. The love of God. We got to always stipulate the difference in that. The love of God is different than romantic love or the love for your car or whatever. The love of God is what runs this universe. But unfortunately, I'm not going to get religious tonight. But that goes, that just goes to show you how a lot of symbolism gets in the way of things, and some things can tend to just go by whatever filter you're using on something. You have to be very careful about that. Absolutely. But everybody watch that movie if you can take it. We are what we are. And you know that is kind of correct. We are what we are. We are what we want to be sometimes, no matter how wrong or right it may be.
They always say you are what you eat.
Yeah, you definitely are what you eat, especially if it's your neighbor. Yep. But yes, there's a lot of things, you know, that we, especially the Bible, that's what messes up a lot of people. A lot of symbolism there. But it's simple symbolism. It's not hard. It's not a code. It's not something that's hidden secret.
Right.
You just got to look at it for what it really is. And I think all religion needs to be looked at that way. I'm not getting down. I'm not, a hater of religion. I think religion has its purpose in some ways, but it is still a man-made thing. And anything made by man is never going to be perfect. And I don't think it's going to get you to heaven either.
Right. It kind of reminds me, you remember the episode on Twilight Zone, How to Serve Mankind, where the aliens came down and they had this book to go by, and it turned out it was a recipe on how to cook humans.
Don't go. It's a cookbook. That's one of my favorite Twilight Zones, by the way. I like the way it's put out. It was pretty, whoever come up with. I think Rod Serling wrote that, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway,
I don't know. It was really good.
I tell you, one of my favorite writers on there was Matheson. Oh yeah, boy, he was great, and of course Ray Bradbury.
Yes,
but definitely, there's some great Twilight Zones. Yep, I'm thinking about all. I think about half of them are my favorite. Have you ever seen? You remember that one? Lee Marvin was in The Grave. It was a cowboy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a gunfighter and came out of the grave.
You know what? That story is based on a legend from Charleston, South Carolina, where supposedly these three girls were at a pajama party, and they dared this other girl to go to this grave, the cemetery, and stick a knife in the grave, a certain grave that was there. And they said she wouldn't do it. She was a coward, She said, "I'll do it. I'll show you. I'll prove to you I'm braver than you think I am." So she didn't turn up next day, and they went to the graveyard and they found her lying dead on that grave, and the knife stuck through her dress into the grave. She supposedly had a heart attack because she thought somebody had grabbed her from that grave. That is a legend from Charleston, but actually they turned it into a great story on the Twilight Zone. The grave. Yep. So don't you go out there.
Just the other night.
My brother will reach up out of the grave and grab you.
Yeah, I liked how they had it in the bar, and it's like, well, if you're too afraid to go up there by yourself, it's like it was like a double dare dog.
They were really getting liquored up too, wasn't they?
Yeah.
They had to get liquored. Strother Martin, he's in every cowboy movie just about there is. He played with John Wayne on. I mean, Strother Martin, he's always a great character actor. Lee Marvin, of course.
Right.
And there were several other character actors in this that you would know. One of them was Roscoe P. Coltrane, from Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah.
There's some great ones. That's a great Twilight Zone, definitely. My Church in the Woods as well. Well, the Church of God is in your heart, my friends. That's where it really is. Supposed to be the real church. But I think it was Don Quixote that said, tomorrow we will meet in the greatest church of all, the forest, for there is no greater cathedral made by God. So I'll go along with the forest too.
Absolutely.
Well, girl, and gone, you could still be a chaplain. Nothing holds you back.
Nope.
I used to record. Damien says I used to record those old flicks on VHS doing those. Were the days. Yeah, I remember the old VHS. That was a great format. I liked it better than DVD. You could scan through it and all that stuff better than you can on DVDs and stuff. Now you can scan through a YouTube pretty good if it's pre-recorded. If it's live, you can't do that. But if it's pre-recorded, you can scan through a YouTube video easy, no problem. You hold it down and hit whatever direction you want to go in, and you can scan through frame by frame if necessary, or you can speed it up too.
Right.
A lot of people don't realize you can do that. You had a high 8, huh? I remember them, yeah. I never had that, but I always had VHS. So, reckon we should go out and, see if we can find membership in the Cannibal Church somewhere.
Oh, I'm sure there is a church or some kind of cult that you could probably join.
Oh, yeah, they probably are some operating. They have some that play around with snakes. They definitely do that, do they?
Oh, yeah, I got snake handlers. I mean, that's the thing about when you get in the Appalachians and the hill folk. You never know what you're going to come across. All bets are off.
I saw a very disturbing YouTube the other day. I don't know if you've ever seen this, Cheryl, but it's a good thing about telling people that not to keep pet snakes. This woman reached in the aquarium to get her. Have you seen that? She reached in and that snake lit down on her hand and started wrapping around her arm, and her husband ran over and tried to get it off of her. And this was probably only about a 6-foot long python, okay?
Right.
But she could not get that snake's mouth off her. She's sticking a knife in there trying to get it off. They never did show how she got that thing off, but my gosh. They got quite a bite on them. Trust me. I've been bitten by a snake and I know.
You know, the funny thing about a lot of those videos, you'll see people with the snake laying next to them in bed. They said they sleep with them every night, and they're all stretched out. Well, when a snake stretches out against you, they're measuring you against them to see if they can eat you. Well, they want to know how big you are compared to them to be able to eat.
I saw a woman on YouTube one time. She said, "Watch while I kiss my snake,"
Ha!
This big python. I mean, she went to kissing that thing and hit her in the mouth, knocked out about 4 or 5 teeth.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it'll hit you. They can hit you, and the reason snakes do that is they knock. Usually, if it's a rat or something, they knock it out just about, and then they'll eat it. But they can hit you with a force that'll knock you down, buddy. Yep. The girl goes to ask Nate, they wouldn't leave my arm in one of my science classes. Uh-oh. Yeah. But this thing bit into this woman right on the fleshy part of the head there, I could see it the whole mouth went down on her. She could not get that snake loose. And her husband's finally come over there trying to get it. And the more they unwrapped it, the more it would wrap around her arm. trying to get around her neck while they were trying to get off of her hand. That's a bad situation.
Yeah, that's like boa constrictors. The more you fidget and wrestle around, the tighter they squeeze in on you.
Yeah, the tighter it gets. That's how they kill their prey. They wrap around something. Squeeze it to death. But I seen another YouTube where this guy he had snakes in a drawer, like he was a zookeeper of some sort. He had poisonous snakes. He had cobras in these drawers. He would open these drawers and hold up a rat for it. And it would usually come out of the doggone drawer and get on the floor. And all he had was a snake stick. You pick that darn thing up and grab it by the tail. I said, I don't want that job. No, thank you.
Wow.
I talked to a man one time. I
remember in the 70s watching a documentary about the guy that collected snake venom.
Mm-hmm.
And he had been bit so many times that his blood became an anti-venom.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that. They do that in India, too. They've been bitten by cobras so many times. They bite you, they kill you. This guy I talked to, he was a world-class expert on snakes. He worked for the Florida Zoo. And said that he handled cobras, he handled them all, even black mambas and all this. And it was a black mamba he was handling that day. He said, I come to work, said I wasn't feeling good. He said, I should have stayed home, Said, I should have stayed home. I didn't. He said, I come. And he said, I'm always very careful. But this one day, I let my guard down for just a second. Half a heartbeat, man. He said, that snake hit me. Next thing I know, I woke up 6 months later in the hospital. And
Wow.
I went into a coma and everything. My gosh, that thing like to killed him. And he said it didn't even get a good bite on him. He said if it had pumped him, they'd grab you and pump him,
Right.
And he said he grabbed it off on him quick as he could, but that was enough to put him in the hospital for 6 months.
Yeah, this guy in that documentary, he had all the world's dangerous poisonous snakes, and he had been bitten by every one of them. So basically, his blood was an anti venom for every snake that was poisonous in the world. But of course, he paid the price. So his hands and everything started getting arthritic from all the snake venom and everything. So he was starting to get crippled by the end of his life.
Man. Girl on the gong, that snake thought you was his mama. Okay. That's what's going on. That's why I was watching you. He thought, that looks like my mama. Okay. Nah, I'm just kidding you. Anyway, some animals, I don't know, they either take a liking to you or disliking to you sometimes.
Yep.
But this kind of leads into cannibalism because there have been many reports on file of snakes actually eating human beings.
Right.
It does happen. It was BG before Gus. All right. There you go.
You have a book upstairs on wildlife, and it has a picture in it that shows two Africans cutting this big giant snake up in the Amazon or whatever, and pulling a human body out of it.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that really did happen. They actually had to skin that snake to get the body out. Slit it open. I was going to mention something about these religions that dance around with the snakes. No. That is tempting God. You don't do stuff like that. No. That's not right. But some people believe that they can handle serpents. They take the Bible again literally. When the Bible says you'll be able to handle serpents and drink poisons and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And they actually do it literally when it was talking about, I think, if somebody were to try to sneak that on you or do something to you like that way, God's looking out for you. He didn't mean for you to tempt stuff like that.
Yeah, they'd let those snakes bite them. Those I don't know if they were moccasins or what they had, and then they'd drink strychnine.
That very thing happened, Gerald, to the Apostle Paul. He was shipwrecked. You remember that? He was shipwrecked on that island, and he was reaching over to get some firewood and put it in the fire, and an asp bit him. You know, asp is a very poisonous snake.
Right.
Bit him on the hand. Everybody was looking at him like, when you're fixing to fall over dead here. But God didn't let that, snake hurt him, because he was there doing what God wanted him to do. He was preaching to those people. Okay. And that right there illustrates what the Bible meant by that. You can drink poisons, or somebody tries to throw a snake on you, whatever the situation is. God's looking out for you, but He don't mean for you to go and do it. As Jesus said, you don't tempt God. And that's why I do not go along with that. No. That's stupid in my book. Monumentally stupid with a capital S for snake. Yeah, they use them all. They use all kinds of snakes. They use rattlesnakes and everything else. They drink poison too.
Yep, strychnine.
Yeah. That's right. God didn't say go out and do it on purpose. Absolutely. But that was that very famous song. Who was that did that song? He was at a church service and he brought snakes out. And who was that done that song? I can't remember now. Anyway, he said, "Where's the back door at?" And they said, "We don't have a back door." He said, "Where do you want one?" Yeah, that would be me. I'd be going out the back door. Thank you. I don't mess with that.
Be like Saturday morning cartoons when you run out through the door, the back wall.
Yeah, it's always kind of like the Herman Monster used to do. You go through the door, shape of yourself going through the door. Okay, thank you, Gong. That is the Hunting the Shadows Patreon there, folks. If you feel so inclined. Absolutely. But this has been an interesting show, Cannibalism. You didn't have any pictures, did you, Gerald?
No, I didn't have any pictures, but I did have one other.
Make sure before I close out here.
We were going to talk about maybe Michael Rockefeller, one of the most famous cannibalists.
Gerald says he didn't have no pictures because the cannibals ate them.
They ate them. My dog ate them.
And then again, your dog ate them. He always eats your homework too.
But you remember the story of Michael Rockefeller back in the 1960s?
Oh, I probably have, but go ahead and refresh my memory.
Well, he was an archaeologist, famous, one of the Rockefellers, one of the sons, and he went to Papua New Guinea and to study the tribes there, and they were cannibals, and he actually dove off or went off his ship or boat to swim up the shore, and that was the last time they ever saw of him.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing something about that.
It was all over the news.
Persons. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, Gerald. If you start traveling through cannibal country, you're looking for trouble. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it probably won't be long before you end up in somebody's dinner party.
And you still have people that try to approach these tribes that have never seen white people in their whole lives, or they don't want any outsiders, period, to interact with them, and they still try to, whether it's to spread the gospel or just for, the research. Doesn't end well a lot of times for these people.
All these people are still very primitive, especially a lot of people who live on the islands, some of these tropical islands, they're kind of cut off from everybody else, you know what I'm saying? But, and I think Girl and her Gong might know who this is. I cannot think of the man's name. He was a very famous explorer, but he disappeared in South America in the jungles of, I want to say Peru or Bolivia, somewhere like that. And then other parties and went to look for him, but I think he was probably a victim of cannibals because they never found any traces of him. Or any of his people that were supposedly with him. And they think they probably either ended up in somebody's dinner or somebody's head collection.
Remember Dr. Livingston? That was a big name back in the day where he disappeared in the jungle. Everybody was looking for him.
That's true. Yeah, you have a lot of interesting cases like that crop up in places like, especially a lot of these tribes that don't, communicate with other people. A lot of them say themselves. Uh, there's a very famous story about a tribe in Africa, and that one of the tribesmen found a Coca-Cola bottle.
Oh yeah, how do you get that?
Coca-Cola. And he thought this was a gift from the gods. I got to take it back to the gods. They accidentally dropped it, and he spent the rest of the movie trying to take this bottle of Coke back to the city, and he was just so completely out of touch. He didn't know what none of this stuff was, So, but that kind of illustrates the point that there, excuse me, there are probably still a lot of out of touch tribes and stuff like that,
There are. There is actually quite a few, especially ones that live in the jungle and the mountainous regions that most people can't ever get to.
Yeah, that's the name of the movie. The gods must be crazy. Yeah. Yeah, you have to run that movie sometime, Gerald. That's a good one. My favorite part of the movie, The Gods Must Be Crazy, is the guy. He's a great white hunter, and he's got a Land Rover, and he goes to winch his truck across the creek. And he goes over there to a tree, and he winches it up in the tree, and he gets distracted, and next thing you know, this truck is hanging in the tree. That was real funny. That's a real funny movie. The Gods Must Be Crazy. They made a second one, The Gods Must Be Crazy, too, but it wasn't as good as the first one.
Yeah.
But that's probably in the public domain, so you might check that one out.
So the other famous case, maybe it's infamous, I should say, probably, is Jeffrey Dahmer that was up around our area up north back in the 90s.
Jeffrey Dahmer's pretty well known. He liked to eat his boyfriends.
Yep. I believe it was 17 people they attributed to him over that time period.
Well, I think John Wayne Gacy may have done a little cannibalism too, but not as much as Jeffrey Dahmer.
Right.
What it is, Gerald, here's the weird thing about these serial killers eating people, okay? They become obsessed with their victims. They will actually steal people's trash. If they ever get your scent, they ever get on your trail, they become obsessed with you, and they will watch everything you do. They watch you constantly. They steal your trash. They want to become you to a certain extent. They want to become you, and even to the point where they figure that you cannot be any closer to a person than when you eat them.
Well, that's what most of the tribes, they think by eating their enemies or whatever, they take the powers from them, that they get their powers or whatever their strengths are, characteristics. And look at the text from Silence of the Lambs. That was a real case where he actually really was wearing people's skins to try to pretend that he was somebody else.
That happens with a lot of primitive peoples. I remember there were many reports of soldiers in Vietnam being found with their livers cut out because the Viet Cong believed that if they eat your liver, they eat your power, your life.
Right.
There were some American Indians that would do that. I don't know why they always skip the heart, but you would go to the liver or something else. But they never did do the heart. I guess it was harder to get to the heart than it was to get to the liver or something. I don't know. But anyway, you got stuff like that going on. There's even speculation that Jack the Ripper may have actually, eaten the flesh of some of his victims. He would actually cut their kidneys out.
Oh.
Yeah, and he wrote in one letter today, Jack will have his kidney pie. So possibility could have been into that too. Serial killers That's why they're so screwed up. They obsess with everything, and that's why I tell people, I don't care what it is, whatever the situation is. Obsession is never a good thing. It's a mental illness, is what it is. When you become upset, I mean, there's a difference between studying something in a scholarly way, and another difference in becoming obsessed with something. That's not good. That's not healthy to become obsessed, even if it's a lady love or man love, whatever the situation. You don't want to become obsessed. That's not love, by the way. Love is not obsession, although some people claim it is. Love is not obsession to a
Well,
certain degree.
there's a difference
Yeah.
between devotion and obsession.
Well, love is putting someone else before yourself. That's what real love is. But some people who are in lust and not love, they're out for their own gratification. They're thinking about themselves more than anything else. That's not love. Not real love.
You brought up wartime. During World War II, the Japanese prisoners of war were on the menu for the Japanese.
Oh yeah, that happened a good bit too, especially in places like Guam and places like that. I've heard of stories about that. Yeah, definitely. Um, this is something that's taboo to mankind, but still, mankind doesn't really have anything that's real actually taboo for them. They'll allow anything's on the menu, folks. Okay, no matter what it is. I just don't think I hope I don't taste good, and they'll leave me alone. Okay, but it's like that joke about the dragons. Don't meddle in the affairs of dragons, for you are crunchy and taste good with ketchup.
Yeah. Ugh.
Let's find. No, we don't want to find that out for sure, though. We're not sure about that. Buffalo Bill, yeah, yeah, and Cody, yeah, Buffalo Bill, yeah. I tell you what, they really did the buffalo bad. Come to think of it, they slaughtered the buffalo unnecessarily. That
Right.
was uncalled for.
Well,
Whoever
we're
it was
like
doing.
that. We're like that as humans. We almost got rid of the whales and we got rid of the buffalo, and we hunt to extinction.
Oh, we've had a lot of stuff to extinction, but the seals and all that have been hunted almost to extinction to a certain degree. And they would used to go out on the ice and bust their heads open with ball bats. Very inhumane. I was watching a video the other day where they got rid of a bunch. You know how they get rid of chickens? If they got a whole bunch of chickens in the house and want to kill all of them, they will put this poisonous foam in there.
Oh,
And the chickens get covered with it, kills them. And it's
wow.
supposed to be not a very humane way to die. Actually, it's I think the foam is like cutting their air off or something. I don't know. Anyway, it's not very humane. But we've had this bird flu stuff going on. They've had to kill millions of chickens. That's why your eggs cost so much, folks. But here's one way you can thwart that. You can raise your own chickens. Okay, have your own
Right.
eggs. Yeah, Buffalo Bill Cody. I remember that. He had a Wild West Wild Bill Hickok was in it. Wild Bill was starting to lose his sight. But he was a deadly pistolier. I never could understand why they let that guy go and didn't hang him for shooting him in the back. That was cold-blooded murder. There
Well,
you go.
probably didn't stand a chance to face him face to face.
I'm gonna put the link up for your Rumble show there. Yeah, he shot him in the back while he was in. That's one reason why I never like to sit with my back to the door. I like to have my back to the wall. Thank you. You don't have to worry about your six that way. I always remember the story of Wild Bill Hickok.
Yeah, you don't want aces and eights, that's for sure.
Yeah, watch those aces and eights. I think I was playing a game of poker one time years ago, and I came up with aces and eights. I said, "Okay, that's it. I'm quitting." No, that's not good. They got to be black aces and eights. They got to be black aces and eights.
Yep, the old dead man's hand.
Let's see, Kyle Smith School. I played Buffalo Bill at Carson City at the end of the summer. The women took on the male rows, men took on the female. Oh, God.
Wow.
I've never seen that.
Annie Oakley.
Annie Oakley, the best shot there was. She could do it, too. I seen her riding on the back of a horse and shoot out the ace of a black ace and spades. That woman can do it.
Oh. Now, supposedly, my dad told me the story of his grandfather. They could flip a silver dollar in there and he could hit it with a rifle.
Oh, yeah. Something else, huh?
I can't imagine that.
I'll tell you, I've seen, I don't know if you've seen the YouTube on he's the fastest gun in the world, supposedly. You can't even see him draw that gun. I mean, you can't see him draw and shoot. It's hard to see him. It's a blur. That's it.
Yeah.
It's amazing what some people can do, the talent that some people have.
And he had such good reflexes that he could shoot twice and it sounded like only one gunshot went off.
There used to be a super villain in the comic books. His name was Target. And he could hit anything he threw at, anything he went to hit, he could hit it, that target, every time. And he was supposed to be, that was sort of like a superpower, He could hit, because he was the world's greatest assassin. And one of his tricks was he could use like 4 or 5 mirrors to shoot a gun over his back. But he didn't have to worry about it. He hit everything. It's something about his mind and his eyes coordinated to the point that, was superhuman.
Right.
And he could just put it wherever he wanted it immediately. That would be amazing to do. The Target. Well, this has been a great show on cannibals there, folks. Makes you want to go out and fix your sandwich, right?
Oh.
Yeah. Don't let it be a Vienna sausage sandwich, okay?
Somehow I lost my appetite.
Yeah. Might lose your appetite real quick with that, yes, sir. You'll never go hungry as long as you got a can of Vienna sausages, okay?
Vienna
sausages. I can't stand that. Yeah, it's not real meat, folks. I don't know what it is. It's supposed to be chicken and some other byproducts, but who knows what the god of byproduct is, okay? We might not want to know. Elites meeting mermaids, huh? Oh,
yeah, that's been the big subject on TikTok and Instagram all over, how people are coming out saying that they were hired by fishing boats to go way out in waters that nobody ever goes to. And they actually say they capture mermaids and they sell them to elites for dinner parties.
Might be the other way around. Mermaids might eat you.
Oh, you might run into some sirens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you won't mess with the sirens. They drive you crazy. The girl, thank you for the great stuff. Thank you there, Wizard Moon. And did any of you hear the news reports that the FBI found all kinds of strange things under Gene Hackman's house? And I hadn't heard about that.
No, I haven't heard that
they
one.
Think that they think his wife was dead like a week before he died.
Right.
And he was in the house with her, but he didn't know where he was at. I don't think,
Yeah, he had dementia real bad or some Alzheimer's or something, and they didn't think he even realized that she was dead.
Yeah, Because they found his cane and his sunglasses in that room, so they don't think he ever left that room. While finally, I guess he might have died of dehydration or something too. Because if he wasn't able to go get himself anything to drink or any food or anything, you know.
Yeah, that's the bad thing. If you're dependent on somebody and your caretaker ends up getting sick or passes away, then I mean, maybe that's what happened.
Always have a connection on the outside. Yeah. Absolutely. But when it first happened, there was a lot of people saying, "Oh, they think somebody killed him and all that," but I didn't think so. It sounded more like it was probably either suicide or both of them died. One from the other, which is what it turned out to be. That's what I think it was. I don't think it was any big conspiracy or anything. Why would anybody want to break in and kill them if they didn't rob them or anything? You know what I mean?
Right.
Why would they do that? So I figured it was probably natural causes or something like that. I found miles and miles of tunnels up under his house. My gosh.
Jeez.
I hadn't heard about that. I'll have to check it out. Yeah, she died of a hantavirus. She probably had that several days before she got sick. Takes a while to do what it does to your body, but it's kind of like the flu, only worse.
Now they said that the virus came from rats. That's what I heard.
Yeah. But the dog that died she had taken that dog to the vet that day before, she supposedly died. She had stopped by and bought it some food, and she had taken it to the vet and brought it home. I think may have still been in the crate or something. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, but I think it never was able to get out of the cage.
The dog was very elderly, and it probably didn't last long, in those conditions. Bad situation all the way around when you look at it, but like you said, Gerald, you need an outside connection anytime. You shouldn't be closed in like that with just one or two people. You should always have somebody checking on you or something. Let that be a lesson, everybody listening tonight. Definitely check on your relatives from time to time and make sure everything's okay with them, especially your elderly relatives.
Yep, that's why they have wellness checks. I mean, if nothing else, just call the police in that town and have them go check on somebody if you haven't heard from them in a while.
I have done that a lot as a law officer. We did a lot of wellness checks, and it's kind of creepy when you do that. You don't never know what you're going to run up on. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then a lot of times they would say, "Oh, the key's under the flower pot on the porch. So let yourself in." You don't feel good about that because a lot of bad things have happened that way.
Yep.
You could be walking in, they think you're breaking in on them, or they pull a gun and you got to shoot them. Situation kind of thing going on. I never like to do that. I just say, well, let's just try to get them to the door here.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it get me kind of mad. I would get mad because you hear the dog inside barking, bark, 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 bark. While you're knocking on the door. Finally, when you get the people to the door, well, I asked them. I said, "Well, didn't you not hear your dog barking? Didn't that kind of tip you off that might be somebody out here?" And she said, "Oh no, he barks all the time."
Yeah, I mean, I'm guilty of that too. Our dog barks at whatever. I mean, it could be somebody at our door, and I'm just thinking it's barking at a coon or something out in the backyard or whatever. I don't pay no attention to them anymore.
But you got to check it out. I mean, you need to. Anytime a dog is barking, he's trying to tell you something, whatever it may be. Monica says, "I don't have any relatives. Must have passed on to check on me as I'm getting older." Well, you can actually get in touch with your police department and let them know your situation and say, "Would you please do a wellness check on me?" They will do that, but no, they won't do it every day.
No.
But they will do it, maybe a couple of times a week would be good. but you need somebody to check on you no matter what.
And sometimes it could be just as much as like your mailman or newspaper boy all of a sudden sees your mail or newspapers gathering up for a couple of days, and then they'll report you and get a wellness check.
My mailman wouldn't care if it built up. He wouldn't care. He said, "What?
Well, I guess I don't have to deliver his mail no more."
Yeah. I had a mailman one time that was scared to come on my porch because there was a cat on the porch.
And
I'm not talking about a cougar, okay? It wasn't a leopard or anything. It was a regular house cat. He said, "I don't like the way that thing's looking at me." I said, "He's not going to hurt you. He's just a watch cat. He just watches, okay?"
I see those videos all the time on TikTok or whatever, and sometimes it's chickens. Delivery guys go up and the chickens chase them all over the yard.
Oh, yeah. I saw one. Have you seen that one where the UPS guy goes up the door and a deer jumps out of the bush on him? Have you seen that one?
Yeah.
I bet he had to go home, change clothes. Oh, that was funny. You never know, though. And that's the one thing I never liked about the wellness checks. Because you got to be very careful how you do that. You go around beating on the windows of a house, somebody's liable to shoot you.
Right.
You need to go to the door, and I would holler, I would shout, "This is the police department. Okay, I'm doing a wellness check on you." I would tell them that very loud, so they could hear me, because I didn't want to get shot. No, thank you.
Yep.
I did a lot of them though. Oh, you had a flash under the flower pot on the porch. Okay, let yourself in. I thought it'd be my luck. It'd be 2 or 3 Dobermans sitting in there waiting on me when I got in there. I say that picture of them 3 Dobermans laying on somebody's porch and said, "The key's on the mat. Just let yourself in."
Yeah.
You got to get past the Dobermans first. Well, it's been a good show. I think we've pretty well investigated cannibals for a while there. If we find out anything new, we'll definitely let you know on it. And but here's my piece of advice, everybody listening tonight: keep an eye on your neighbors, okay, just in case. What do you think about it, Gerald? What's your?
Yeah, I mean, just like you said, I mean, you're supposed to love your neighbors, not devour them, and be careful. Don't eat any green crackers. So don't go into the Soylent Green.
Just don't let them love you too much, right? The wrong way. Definitely. But yeah, Soylent Green is people, folks. Okay, Soylent Green Tuesday is Soylent Green Day. Definitely, and we will end up probably doing that. We'll probably end up, but it'll be synthesized people in a way. You know what I'm saying? It'll be you won't see the people that you're eating. You just eat them. And they could probably get by with that. I've always thought that's one of the most brilliant sci-fi movies. One of my favorites, Soylent Green. It's got a very interesting and important message in it, folks. We will end up eating ourselves one day, definitely.
Well, that's probably
headed.
That's probably what Vienna sausages and Spam is anyway. So hot,
I guarantee you that's probably what it is. That's what the byproducts are. People. I remember that sign Wendy's had at one time. Our best ingredients are people.
That's what we had a boss that, the president of the company in our division would come and give, speeches and stuff. And he always said that our people is a secret sauce. It's like, oh, that's kind of weird.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you don't know if there is playing a joke or maybe it's really that tone deaf about it.
I was wondering what would happen to the guy that always worked next to me. One day he was just gone. Maybe he's part of the secret sauce. I don't know.
Yeah, that is weird to think about, definitely. Well, anyway, I think that's our spin on cannibals tonight, folks. And just be careful who invites you to dinner. And watch what you're eating out there. You never know. But and like Gerald says, don't eat any green crackers. Okay. Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you tuning in tonight, and we appreciate your support tremendously. from the bottom of our hearts, definitely. And the road less traveled is doing a lot better streaming wise, and we'll keep it up. We will keep the momentum going. So tell your friends about the road less travel. If they want to take a strange journey, the road less traveled is waiting for them. Definitely. And we appreciate all of you being here tonight. And Gerald, what you got coming up this week, bud?
We have the Night Owl Lounge on Wednesday, and we'll be once again talking with everybody in chat, just hanging out with them all night. So that's our night to give back to the people that subscribe to us. And a lot of times we don't get time to interact with them because we're doing a show or talking to guests. And so Wednesday night is a give back to the community that we just spend time with them. And then Friday and Saturday is our creepy night movie to hang out with everybody over on Rumble. So if you want to subscribe to us on Rumble and watch some old movies, most of them are all creepy. Some of them are funny. We played a couple. We did Arsenic and Old Lace last week.
And don't forget now, Gerald has a store. Yes, he has a store. You need to check that store out and support Gerald. Help him with the movies and all that by going to his store and buying something, okay?
Yeah.
And you need a hat or a t-shirt. Got all kinds of stuff, right, Gerald?
Yeah, we got all kinds of stuff. We got drinkware, we got hats and shirts just like this one, and we got all our logos. We got Chiro Sounds logos on there, and no human byproducts, no Vienna sausages in our store. It's just all clothing. And
well, that's good. Sounds good. We'll have to check that out. Here is the link for it.
So if you can, please go check out our merchandise. And if you can order something, if not, thank you very much.
Tell them to give you the special dentist discount.
Dentist discount.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. There is no special dentist discount here. What's wrong with that? Okay.
Anyway. Normally you'd get free shipping or something, but if you mention Dennis's name, then it's full price. No.
There you go. There you go. I expect a kickback out of this now, Gerald. Okay. But anyway, you go ahead and support Gerald there and check out the Night Owl Lounge. And Shiro's got a channel too, right?
Yeah, she's got Chiro Sounds on YouTube, and she does videos with music, and sometimes it's with the wildlife outside. So it's kind of a mixture of both. And please go over and subscribe to her channel. Now that the weather's starting to be nicer, it was 70 degrees out today and sunny. So we might be going out somewhere and making some new music videos.
Girl in the Gong says if you mention my name, you get a free owl sticker.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, there you go.
We do have stickers in the store, but we also have some here at the house. So if nobody has gotten one of our free stickers, just send us an email at midwestnightwatchers@gmail.com, and we'll send you a sticker.
There you go. That reminds me, I'm gonna have to have a little contest pretty soon on hunting the shadows there. Give some swag away there. Definitely have a little contest. It's always fun to do. Absolutely. You got to give back when you can. But appreciate y'all being here tonight, and it means the world to us. Your support is the thing. Keeps us going and keeps us on the air. Stay tuned, Stay tuned to Gerald's creature features. And don't forget, check out Wednesday night, Hunting the Shadows. And also Friday night, Paranormal Point of View, both times at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And for all of the members of the Shadow Hunt Club, I will be dropping you a video pretty soon now, okay? So get ready. It's going to be very interesting. And I may even get a chance to squeeze in scary stories by candlelight there.
Oh,
yeah.
That'd be good.
I'm overdue on that, definitely. So I have to do that. But anyway, we appreciate you all for being here. Hope you have a fantastic week ahead as we head on to hump day here. And we appreciate your support. And we thank you so very much for being here tonight and traveling a road less traveled with us. Okay, we appreciate that very much. And thank you all. And thank you. Let me put that up. Let's see. Aquarius rising. Yes, ma'am. And peace and love to you all, definitely. Thank you so much for being here. And watch out for those cannibals out there now, okay? And keep your eyes open, keep your head on swivel and your eyes on your six. That way you don't end up being somebody's dinner. Okay. Absolutely. But we appreciate you all, and until we get together again, what you got to say about that, Gerald?
Keep looking up.
There you go. And Godspeed till next time. Ciao.
Adios.